Welcome, friends, to this episode of the Sync Your Life podcast. Today, I'm being joined by my new friend, Hailey Rowe. She's a marketing and sales coach and strategist. She's also a LinkedIn lead generation service provider. She helps health coaches, hormone coaches, and wellness professionals book clients, develop their no-brainer offers, and grow their online audience without social media overwhelm. Sounds just like what we need. She shares her fast framework, marketing, and business tips on her Health Coach Nation podcast and in her free Marketing Hub Facebook group. She's been named as one of the top 25 coaches in Chicago by Chicago Entrepreneur Magazine and one of the top 6 business podcasts for health coaches. Since 2010, Hailey has worked in the coaching industry and in business development and marketing for startups. Her philosophy is that you can have an amazing service and impact to make, but without a strong mindset and sales and marketing plan, your business will remain a hobby. I see this all too often. I've been a health coach for 13 years and I've mentored women in this space for a very long time. And I see this where they're trying to build a business. They're doing all the things. They're really overwhelming themselves on social media, but then they're suffering and not getting new clients because things aren't working for them. So I'm excited for this conversation. I know we had a chance to connect previously just to kind of talk about the different things that you offer and teach. And we decided to open this podcast up to any of my Sync affiliates who might be popping on here as we talk to ask questions at the end. So I'm excited to dive into this. You guys know this podcast is all about hormone health. It's all about helping you reach maximum energy, but it's also about, if you're interested, building a business in hormone health as well. Obviously, this is a huge need in the wellness space right now. I call it a broken place of the world is women's health right now. And so to be able to step in and to make an impact on women in the right way and to really help them self-advocate and get answers is a really powerful thing. So if it's of interest to you, stick on here while we talk to Hailey. We'll kind of pick her brain on the best way to kind of become a hormone health coach and how you can really make sure you're making the most of your time. So without further ado, Hailey, welcome to the show. I would love for you to just tell all of my listeners more about you, where you're from, how you got to this point. Tell us all the things.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. I'm in the Chicago area. I say Chicago for people who don't know because I live in a suburb, but I love podcasts. I love personal development. I love health and wellness. And I actually, at a pretty young age, I was an old soul. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and fitness and health was my gateway into personal development, in my opinion. So I started to get some certifications. I started to dabble in entrepreneurship and knew I wanted to do something around that, but I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. So I got my bachelor's in entrepreneurship, and then I ended up falling into the startup world and working in business development and marketing because I told myself, oh no, I'm not ready to have my own business. I need to work for these startups. And truth be told, it was a great choice at the time because it did train me a lot in learning you can't overthink. You just have to get things done. You have to learn copywriting. You have to learn digital marketing. And I was forced to kind of work quicker than I would have if I was on my own. And I ended up doing that till about 2017. And then what I thought was stable, the stable path, which was to have a job, didn't end up turning out so stable because one of the companies was a wellness place and they had to get some approvals and it was very delayed. And the entire team was let go. And so that's when I decided I wanted to have my own business and started to work with wellness professionals because I was in that world already. That was my passion, and have been doing it ever since.
I love that. Yeah. So, okay. So what I want to talk about today is just this idea of, how to work smarter, not harder, because I see so many women sort of burning the candle at both ends, trying to, I don't know, not necessarily go viral on their social media, but I see all the reels and the TikToks and the story clips. And I know how much time that takes. I'm also an influencer and I'm also somebody who has a health coaching business and I attract clients online. And so I've been in the shoes of really feeling like I was almost taking away from my family by putting so much time and effort into trying to attract online. And when I finally listened to all of these expert marketers out there, Chalene Johnson and others, when I heard it so many times, right? Build an email list and offer lead magnets and all these things. It was it finally clicked with me that oh, wait a minute, I could do something that would bring clients to my inner circle, so to speak, and would also provide value to them. And email marketing feels a lot easier because I'm landing in their inboxes. So it's living there for them to open and see.
Yeah.
as opposed to this stuff that just disappears online. So let's sort of start there with, maybe if you want to share it with us, like what are some of the ways we can work smarter in our online business?
Yeah, so there's a couple components here. I'll start with the most obvious, which is have a great program or product or service, because if it's good enough to where your clients love it, they rave about it, they leave you good testimonials, they want to share it with others, that's just the first step, because it's always easier to have such a good program or product or service that it sells itself or that people want to talk about it than it is to not have a good product and constantly be having to pay for new leads, constantly be having to pay for new customers. So have a great service or program, and make sure that you also maybe have a referral program for the people who do love it so much and want to share it. And there's some kind of incentive for them to share it. So I think you're spot on, Jenny, for having an affiliate program and that kind of thing. The second thing to work smarter and not harder is I see a lot of people, as you said, having shiny object syndrome and just thinking they need to be on all the social media platforms at once and having no clear direction about what is your client funnel and what is like the buyer journey. How does somebody usually come into your world, then get nurtured, and then sign up? So I have a system called the 4 steps of client attraction. And whatever marketing platform you choose, these steps will be gone through by the potential client. And that is connect, engage, pre-offer, and sell. So what I mean by that is connect, we have to decide who do you want to be connecting with? So who's your niche? Where do they hang out? And how are you going to be visible to them? So for you, Jenny, if you have a freebie or an email funnel, that's great, but you have to have somewhere where people are seeing it. So not only does it need to be on your website, but maybe you run ads to it, or maybe you, when you're on podcasts, you mention it, or maybe you have one main platform like Instagram or something like that, and that's where most people find you, and then later they sign up for your freebie. So where's going to be your visibility platform? Then we have to engage. So that means you have to have something so relevant, or some kind of, like, what I like to do is ask a lot of questions to my audience. So engage them with an intentional question that can then lead to your freebie or lead magnet, which is the third step, which is pre-offer. And a pre-offer is your freebie. So that's a little baby offer, meaning something that provides a quick win, a quick solution, etc., for free. And then once they get that result, or they use your freebie and they love it, then it makes sense to invite to the sales process. And that's what you do in your follow-up emails. And the reason why I am also a big fan of having an email list and using your main strategy, or channeling everybody towards your email list as your main strategy, is because, as you said, you don't have to rely on the algorithms to show your stuff to people, which can be very hard, right? And people who on your email list, they're just more likely to buy. The stats show that. And also, it gives you more of a chance to deeper connect with them, because on social media, we're so distracted, we're scrolling on by, things like that. So my efforts and most of my clients' efforts are all channeled, and we feel more focused when our main goal is just to have everybody join our freebie on our email list and then nurture our list. That's where the main focus goes. So I think that it's important, if you're trying to decide like a marketing strategy and things like that. I like a rule of thumb that I like is from Alex Hormone. He always talks about do more of what's already working, then do it better, and only then it adds something new, add a new strategy or a new platform or things like that. So that's also a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, so good. It's funny because everybody, all the experts that are kind of in this space, right? Alex Hormone, Shalene, I follow Russell Brunson. Like there's all these people that are sort of these expert marketers, and they all have their own way of explaining what you just said, right? So within the Russell Brunson world, he talks about hook, sell, offer, right? Which is kind of a much more salesy approach to the whole thing. But when I took his courses, I know he talked a lot about like creating something that really hooks the reader or the scroller, like what is going to get their attention. And then from there, give them something of value in exchange for that email address so that you can then nurture them in the email sequence. So just listening, thinking, sort of brainstorming and thinking here for those of you guys who are on, and those of you guys who work with me in my mentorship program for my hormone health coaches. A lot of us are really right now focused on teaching endocrine disruption, right? Like making sure people are aware of the fact that the things that they put in on and around their bodies can be detrimental to their hormone health. So something that you could create, you could go into Canva and create some sort of one-page PDF, right, on
Yeah.
my top 5 steps to eliminating endocrine disruption, right?
Mhm.
Or how to eliminate endocrine disruption in your kitchen, right? Or you could, I mean, it could be like whatever topic you want it to be. And then in your stories or your social media, or whatever you are putting out there, maybe you show yourself like cleaning your kitchen counter, right? And then would you like my tips on how to go about this, right? Like it makes it easier for you. It's almost like you can then craft your content around this
Yeah.
and then work smarter. So I just that's what I want people to understand. Like sometimes people will say to me, like I posted a picture the other day of myself, and it was a repurposed post that I had actually made last fall. And I just actually look at my Facebook memories every day, just look at my kids. And sometimes there's pictures of me, and it's a like kind of more of a hook sell offer type post. And I just redo it. I just repost
Mhm.
it again on my social media, or I use the picture and put different text behind it. I'm not like staging myself, putting my makeup on and doing this, creating a video or creating something every single day. So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot that could be said here, but I think at the end of the day, like the true marketers out there are not necessarily spinning their wheels on daily video clips of themselves or ways to go viral. Like what they're doing is they're saying, how can I add value to the people that I want to attract? How can I then give that away in exchange for an email address? Because then I know I can cultivate that relationship that will then propel them to want to purchase something or join my course or join my community or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to say that because I think that's where a lot of people kind of have it backwards, like they wait and wait and wait and procrastinate that type of freemium offer. And instead they put all of their eggs into the basket of social media.
Yeah, and I would say with the freebie, a lot of people overthink it. They think it needs to be this, 50-page ebook or an hour-long class or something like that. And the truth is, the more digestible and quickly implementable that it is to solve one urgent pain point or goal that your audience has right now, the better. Like, so even the other thing you have to ask yourself is your audience aware enough to know that they even have endocrine disruption?
Mhm.
Some people don't even know what that means, and they're just experiencing the symptoms of it. They just might be having brain fog or bloat or,
Right.
lack of focus or something. And so you may even know it, like thinking about your audience and what they come to you with, try to start to generate a freebie around like, okay, the 3 kitchen products that are actually, causing you brain fog or something like that. So that's the other thing to consider is just make sure it's aligned with what are, and also think about what they complain about right now. Is it, and I love working with, I sometimes have life coach clients and stuff, and they'll say, oh yeah, I help people find their life purpose. But okay, but today, what is your audience dealing with that they're like, I need a checklist or I need a quick solve or a quick fix? They're probably not going to go through a freebie that's like a long-term thing. It needs to be micro.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not thinking 8 steps ahead. And so,
Yeah.
a lot of us got into this hormone health coaching thing because of our own struggle and our own journey. And I know I have to constantly remind myself and the ladies that are with me too, like you have to remember where you started, like what
Mhm.
first attracted you to want to learn more about this topic, right? And most likely it was a struggle that you went through. For me, it was chronic migraines and then infertility and then trying to
Yeah.
navigate my own journey with finding a functional doctor, right? But I have to remember that even though now I feel like I could, I'm good friends with 40 different functional medicine doctors. I didn't start that way. Like I didn't talk that
Yeah.
language 13 years ago. The language I was talking was, why am I in pain? Why is modern medicine not helping me? Right? Why do I feel like I'm not knowledgeable about my own body? Like there are certain things that if I really think back to looking over my shoulder and who was I before that I can now serve, that changes the language of my marketing. It changes the language of how I'm trying to talk to that person as opposed to, maybe where I am now. They don't connect with that. So I love that. That's a great tip.
Mhm.
You mentioned something kind of briefly, and I wanted to come back to it because this is something that, so I work with a brand strategist as well, and she is constantly reminding me that testimonials are where so much power lies. And I need
Mhm.
to get better about this myself. I've had people come on the podcast as testimonials, and I've definitely
Nice.
featured them in my social, but um, I'm wondering like what kind of tips could you give us on, how could we use testimonials in our business? One
Mhm.
thing that I will mention, and of course it's escaping me right now in this moment, but there is some sort of platform that my strategist was telling me about that you can go to that allows people to record a quick
Oh
video
yeah.
as a
Hmm.
testimonial. And that's something that I want to look into myself too. So you're basically sending them a link to record
Yep.
themselves, and then you have an instant testimonial. So I would, if you
Yeah.
think about that too, like throw it in
Yeah.
there. But we'd love to
Uh-huh.
know what your take is on that too.
Yeah, I think it's called Boast. That's the tool that you can record a video. There's more than one, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But anyways, with testimonials, okay, so first of all, I just want to backtrack for a second. The freebie that you have, your goal or mission and focus now that you have it is to talk about it in different unique ways all the time, as you were saying, and just create different curiosity points about it. And one way you can also do that is with testimonials. You can always mention, like, I had a client who was really struggling with brain fog. And it turns out she had these sneaky kitchen products that she didn't realize was disrupting her hormones. And, this was one of the first steps we took. Of course, there was other steps, but if you want to learn that too, check out my freebie or something like that. So you can use testimonials and case studies and stories about your clients to talk about your freebie in different ways. To get testimonials and to use them, one of the things you want to consider, you're very smart to do video, because if somebody is willing to show up on video or be interviewed on your podcast, that goes a long way compared to text and written testimonials. Now, does that mean that you have to do that for all your clients? No, but if someone's willing and open to it, and maybe they, can, maybe you'll send them a gift or something as a thank you, or thank them for being willing to go on video. Um, that's great because people trust that better. However, you can also have written ones. And when you're going about this, I see a lot of people just say, hey, can you write me a testimonial, and give no guidance about like how long or any prompts to help the person write the testimonial. So it's important to kind of make sure you're asking, like, I would love it. Here's some ideas of kind of like the what you may write about. One would be what your favorite aha moment from the program. Maybe one would be your biggest win from the program or takeaway. Maybe one was where you were before starting versus what you're experiencing on a daily basis now. Maybe what would you say to someone who's really hesitant about working with me now that you've worked with me? So you do want to give them prompts that don't just let them say, because here's what doesn't work. It's just having testimonials that's like, Karen is so nice. Karen is very compassionate. Karen is a great listener. Okay, but so what? Right? Like, what are the results they achieved, or wins, or why they liked your program as opposed to other programs? You want to highlight that in your testimonials. And then once you have your testimonials, you can incorporate them into your email funnel follow-ups after your freebie when you're trying to maybe invite to the sales process. You can share them on social media. And then the last thing I'll say about this too, or you can get a little creative, is if you have, there's two things. You can either form a case study of a client. So if they have a real story, like they started and they were, experiencing infertility and they tried everything and blah, 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 and now they are pregnant and whatever, you can create what we call a case study around that, which is basically sharing their whole story and incorporating quotes from the client throughout. So that's another option. And then the last option would be if they share quotes, like if they share, let's say you have a WhatsApp private support, or you have a Facebook group where clients can communicate with you. If they post in there a win, you can crop their name out to keep it anonymous if you don't have permission to share it. You could either ask for permission to share it if you want to, but you could crop their name out, and that can be a testimonial in and of itself. You can just say, this is a client win that they had this week, and it just be the screenshot of what they're actually experiencing.
Such great tips. Such great tips. I mean, at the end of the day, really, it's about like what are the problems that our customers are facing, and how can we either create or offer a solution to those problems. I think where we get hung up is I see two different things happening. I see either one, we're not connecting with the potential client on that problem. So it's either like we're offering too general of a solution. I help women with feeling better or general health and wellness. Like everybody wants health and wellness, right? But like when you specifically call out, maybe by sharing your own story, which is our most powerful way of connecting with people, when you share that, like, I really struggled to get out of bed in the morning. Like I thought something, my check engine light was flashing. Like I didn't know where to go. When you start to express the real struggle, or when it doesn't have to be even in that way. It could be also just like, I struggle with my kids, getting my kids to eat, or whatever the topic is for you, right? Like picky toddler eating, like it could be whatever. When you can really hone in on that, that's when you're going to get people that start to say things to you like, I felt like you were talking to me. And when you start to hear, I feel like you're talking to me, you are on the right track. I mean, almost every time I make a post now, I get messages from people that were like, okay, I have to finally reach out. I've been listening to your podcast, or I've been following you for this long or whatever, but what you said today made me realize that like, this is totally what I'm dealing with. Right. And so again, like not overcomplicating it, but also not generalizing. So I see a lot of health coaches just sort of generalizing, like losing the weight or, even just getting their energy back or whatever, but it's like so broad that they're not connecting with that problem. And there can be 25, 30, 60, 600 problems associated with hormones.
Yeah.
So it could be brain fog one day that you're talking about. It could be migraines one day. It could be just, not keeping up with your kids. Like you could literally make a list, and maybe that's something that you guys could do. Like make a list of what are the problems that you have faced specifically, and then cultivate your content around those individual things. Like it really is that specific, because when you can dial it into those specific things, that's when you're going to have that. I felt like you were talking to me. I felt the same way. I've struggled to get out of bed in the morning, or I've been relying on caffeine all day. Those little tiny details is what connects to people. When I first started my health and wellness journey, I never was in hormone health to begin with, right? So I got into like fitness first, and then nutrition and home fitness. And in the very beginning, I remember sharing my story with my migraines. And in part of my story, on one particular post that I had made, I talked about how I had just sort of given up and felt like I wasn't going to find my doctor house. Like I wasn't going to find the guy that was going to help me, the doctor. And so I shared a detail in my story about how I was carrying this little blue pill in my pocket, which was my migraine abortive, and how I just had kind of given into the fact that that was just going to be in my pocket. If I wanted to have friends and go do things and date my spouse and be out and about, like I was going to rely on that little blue pill in my pocket. And I made that post probably 8 or 9 years ago. And to this day, I have people that are, I remember your story about like the blue pill in your pocket. Like, oh my gosh, you've come so far. Like, look at what you're doing now. And you're serving women in this space, but it's like, those are the little details. Those are the details of the problem that people can connect with, that a lot of us are just generalizing and glazing over. And our posts are about women's hormone health, and nobody really understands that. Right. So I see that happening. And then the other thing I see happening is, a lot of the women who are in my affiliate program, are also, not all, but a lot of them are also associated with maybe like a direct selling association or company, right? Like, or a network marketing company, and they're representing products that way. And a lot of times the other issue I see is that they're boxing themselves in to representing that brand. And so all of their content is around that company's shake, or that company's fitness program, or that company's household cleaner, or whatever it is, right? And so they're boxing themselves into that, which I actually think, my personal opinion is that I think just with the way social media is changing, the way that this whole influencer lifestyle is coming about, right? Like my daughter is 7 years old and wants to be an influencer. Like, like I never would have said that when I was a kid, right? So and the thing is, like, she probably won't have to go to a corporate job that I thought, like, I always felt like I needed to pick a job and pick an avenue. It's different now. Like kids growing up can basically be, like, she looks at me like, why would I ever work? Like, why would I ever go somewhere? I can just have a YouTube channel, right? So, but the way this is all evolving, like I see like a lot of network marketing companies that are like, if they don't keep up and sort of join this affiliate idea or this influencer idea, they're going to falter, right? And so the best thing you can do is you can become your own brand. You can become your own personal brand in hormone health that then endorses these products from this company. Like this is just a physical tool and resource that you have to sell in your overarching brand. And I can tell you that when I stepped out of that box, when I said, who am I? Like, what do I represent? What is my messaging? How can I help people? I was able to then help more people and sell more product because people then they have that trustworthy relationship with me. They're connected with me. It's not just about me being part of this other company. So kind of to wrap this up, because I'm talking too much and I want you to talk, is I see two things. I see generalization. So I see generally help me, I'm going to help you in women's hormone health and nobody connects with that. Or I see us boxed in and associated with a company that then might even be repelling to some people because they're like, oh, that's just that girl that does the network marketing thing, right? So when you can create your own lead magnet, when you can step into your story, when you can connect with people and present the problem solution dynamic, all of a sudden you're a true marketer and you're actually truly making an impact. And that's the thing. We're not just marketers. We are not just selling candles. We're not just selling like clothing, like in the health and wellness space, we are making an impact on people. We're teaching them things. We are equipping them with the right tools. And so it's not just about selling here, even though that's what this conversation is about. It is about getting them the right tools and resources to be better. I know you guys that are on here listening, and those of you listening who have taken the Sync course, you feel like it has changed your life. You're able to go into your doctor's office and now have the right questions, and you're getting answers in your health. So yes, I'm looking for ways to sell this to more women, and I'm not ashamed of it because I know it's making a difference, right? So I also want to just make that connection too. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure, is there anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry, I just sort of
Well, no, it's okay. There's a couple things there. One, with the generic thing, totally agree. One of the things that people remember from my story is in the beginning of my business, when I was not super confident and I was undercharging, I was charging one uncommitted client at $50 a session. And that little piece comes up a lot in discovery calls. Like, that's what I'm doing, or I'm charging, $70 for a 3-month coaching program or something. So that's one piece. And then the other part about being a personal brand, I also couldn't agree more, because here's the thing. One thing that will make everybody can provide the same tools, hormone health coaching, et cetera, but people are going to resonate with you because, so for example, with my clientele, I tend to attract a lot of women in the Midwest. There may be 40 to, probably about 40 to 60. They are very wholesome, very family oriented, because I'm family oriented. They're like these things that come up, the people you attract, you'll tend to realize like, oh, interesting. And I think I've had people tell me before, like, because your message wasn't generic, because you weren't just doing like the bro marketing, like make 10K every month or day or whatever. And you're actually realistically saying like, here's how one of my clients got their first 3 clients or whatever. It resonates more and they tend to trust you more. So when you get more specific, they start to realize the real you, or when you bring in certain parts of your stories, they can relate to the real you, as opposed to generic. It's like everyone else. And so I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, it's funny you called it bro marketing. There's a lot of bro marketing. And the other thing that I'll say, is I think that we as women are really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like perfectly placed in this social selling environment, because women by nature are very nurturing. We care, we take care of everyone, right? Like, and so a lot of times you won't find women necessarily selling just to sell. Most likely they're wanting to make an impact of some kind, right? That's what I see, especially in the health social selling space. As opposed to, and I'm not blaming men, right? But there is a masculine energy in sales that is very different. When I think about like your traditional car salesman, right? Like that's a different experience than what a lot of women can provide in a social selling space. So it's okay to step into like who you are and just your personality, because that is alone going to attract. And I think a lot of women are afraid of that because they're afraid of what people might say, or, just that whole, a lot of times I think associated with network marketing, they worry like, well, what are people going to think? Are they going to think this is some sort of scam? Not if you believe in it and you're passionate about it and you're very, when that comes across, your confidence comes across in something, and you're able to help them, like, then that's exactly how you should face it. So I want to mention here on the podcast for anybody listening that, we've alluded to this Sync certified coaching / affiliate program that we have with Sync. If this is something new to you, if maybe you're new to the podcast or you haven't heard us talk about this before, I want to make sure I send you to the right information. So if you want more information on that, that is sync.jennyswisher.com/cert bundle. I do require that my certified coaches and affiliates take the course first. So you have to, it's a bundled option where you can purchase the course and the certification. Once you become enrolled in that, you become an automatic affiliate for my program. So you're able to then send people to everything under the Sync umbrella, which is our courses. We have multiple courses, our telehealth consults with our resident hormone health doctor. We have a new fitness program that we've launched. We have a lot of things that we're able to really help women with specifically. So if that's of interest to you, you can check out that link. I'll also have it in the show notes. But that's something that we're excited to offer. So, okay, so I know we are already kind of closing in on some time here. So before we open this up for Q&A to my affiliates, I have a couple questions for you because I know you sort of specialize in like LinkedIn. And this is a new territory for me. I've always been on LinkedIn and I've felt drawn to it. Like I'm sort of a Facebook girl, but I like LinkedIn. Instagram is not really my jam. I would love for you to tell us, like, I mean, I hear Gary Vee and others in this space, like that are always like LinkedIn is where it's at. LinkedIn is where it's going. I know Lewis Howes talks about how he got his start there. What are most of us missing on LinkedIn? Because I don't think a lot of us are using that platform.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is what I call like the low maintenance platform, in my opinion. Meaning, if you hate posting all the time and dancing in reels and like going live all the time, that's why I love LinkedIn, because you do not have to do that to be successful on that platform. And it's my top platform for number one, getting clients, number two, getting partnerships, and getting discovery calls. So the reason I like it is because it is a networking business platform. So it's not just for entertainment like Instagram or Facebook. You're actually there to connect either with potential partners or podcast hosts or potential clients if you work with a certain type of professional. Obviously, if you work with women in general, there's no way to, know if someone has hormone problems by looking at their LinkedIn profile. However, busy professionals who are women probably would resonate with your content if you help busy women with hormone health, right? So it's a platform where you can connect easily with people through the connection requests feature. And what I like to do is I think a lot of people get turned off by LinkedIn because they get those super long salesy messages, which is not the right approach. However, it is expected that people get connection requests, either like you could connect with people in your local area or people who are a certain type of professional or potential partners. And then it's natural to start conversations and ask engaging questions. So what I like to do is just ask engaging questions, learn about somebody else, see how we can help each other, or if one of my freebies makes sense for them or things like that. So I don't want to take 2 hours to talk about it, but I will say there's an approach that you can go about it in a classy way and not like I'm going to send you this long sales pitch way. And like I said, you can repurpose probably content you already have. So it doesn't have to take extra time off of your day.
Yeah.
So that's why I like it.
Yeah. Just recently I was talking to somebody and they were talking about like just our transcription of our podcasts and converting some things to blog posts and sharing those things on LinkedIn. And once again, working smarter, not harder. So taking the content that we're already doing and repurposing it for other places. Yeah. And I recently had a really good experience on LinkedIn. I mean, I've always been on there. It's always been intriguing. I kind of post on there from time to time, but not as much as I should. And recently I made some connections just through like a networking circle that I'm part of. And all of a sudden we've all just kind of been connecting others to others in that space through the direct message feature. And prior to that, right, like I was only getting those salesy messages like, thanks for connecting with me. I'd love to set up a call. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting these authentic connections of people that I've actually interviewed on the podcast who thought of someone else that they thought would be a great guest, right? And those types of things are really powerful. So that's
and the people on LinkedIn, just if you're struggling with people who can't afford your services, I'm not saying you will have 100%, amazingness on LinkedIn, but the people on there naturally, they have a higher average income compared to like Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so before we wrap it up and open up for questions, like let's wrap this into a pretty bow. So if people are, tuning in, listening into this, they're walking away thinking, okay, like I have some clarity now. I need to get more detailed and focused on my messaging. really connect with people more on the problems that are presented with the solution that I offer, possibly create a freemium or something that I can give away for free in exchange for an email address. What would you say, like when we sit down at the start of our week and we're looking at, okay, I've created this freemium about, let's say, endocrine disruption, how to eliminate it in your house or whatever the case is. What would be something like, what would that person want to do, like just for that week ahead? Let's look at like their weekly plan. What should they be doing, whether it's through social media or otherwise, to get people into that lead magnet?
Yeah. So the bottom line is the number of offers and even free offers that you make minus the no's equal your results. So what you need to do is decide how this week am I going to put myself in a position to be able to mention my freebie in some way, shape, or form. So for most of like some of my clients who don't like social media, we are going to reach out to, some local partners where they could do a joint workshop or they could do a guest newsletter for the customers of that place or whatever. And that's their target. They set a target for local partnerships. Other clients, I'm going to mention my freebie 3 times on Instagram. I'm going to be on, I'm going to reach out to a couple podcasts to be on, mention it there. So it's just about decide how can you be putting yourself in a position to be able to mention your freebie to more people. And if that's LinkedIn, if that's local, if that's Instagram, it's all good. It can be whatever you end up choosing, but that is what I recommend. And the other thing is, if you want to do this efficiently, I do think partnership marketing, meaning sharing each other's freebies with somebody or, doing a guest talk for each other's audiences and sharing your freebie. I think partnerships and collabs is really where it's at. And I'm actually going to be going through, like, if you're wondering like how do I decide if my freebie is even good or not? Or how do I tie it then into a freebie funnel? I have a free live event coming up. If you're hearing this on the podcast, it'll probably be past by the time, but that's okay. You can just DM me on Instagram if you want to, check out some of my free stuff. But the link is haileyrowe.com/live event, all one word. And it's going to be going through 3 days to help you go from crickets to clients and use a freebie funnel formula that converts.
Perfect. I love that because I was just about to ask you, like, where can we find you? How can we?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram,
You're on
Hailey_Rowe, haileyrowe.com, all the things.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, we will link all that up for you guys in the show notes so that you can swipe up and find Hailey. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being part of the show. We're going to open this up now for Q&A for my affiliates to ask questions. But for those of you listening, again, all the links will be in the show notes for you. So if you have any questions for us, please reach out. But thank you so much, Hailey, for being part of Sync Your Life. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, cool. So I'm going to continue recording just for my coaches. But awesome. Shreen, Lauren, Vicky, thank you guys for being on here. If you guys have any questions for Hailey, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask her here for the next maybe 5 to 10.
Cool.
Don't be shy, my friends.
Maybe just to give you an idea, if you have a freebie already, feel free to maybe share the title, share your landing page in the chat if you want feedback on it.
Yeah, and while they're thinking of things too, I probably should have said this on the podcast, but I mentioned it to you. As Sync affiliates, they do have access to affiliate links for our Sync lead magnets. So
Nice.
those of you guys who are on here or listening to the recording, just so you know, like in your affiliate dashboard, we have what we call opt-ins. So you'll see a list of opt-ins. Those are also known as lead magnets. The hormone imbalance quiz is probably the most popular. A lot of people like to take a quiz, so that's a great one to pop into your stories, into your content. We have a functional wellness virtual summit, which is, I always wonder why we give it away for free. It's 9 hours of interviews.
Oh, wow.
Me and functional doctors, but it's one of our most popular as well because people want that free knowledge and content. So yeah, we have those two. We have some others on there. I mean, there's probably, 15 different links for you guys to look through, but I just wanted to remind people that those are there for you as well. If you're not quite comfortable making your own yet and you want to point people toward hormone health, those are great options. Okay, nice. Lauren says, this was so awesome. Thank you. I'm at work, so I can't get on. Do you still recommend Linktree or similar things? Any ideas on updating Instagram bios for what is the new thing?
Yeah, so let me actually, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes. Wait, do I probably need to make you able to do that? Hang on. Can you share it or do I need to give you access?
Let me try here. Oh, it says send request. I'll send a request.
Okay, got it.
There we go. Okay, so let me show an example here. So for bios, you can, if you have a link tree, you can definitely do that, but I wouldn't recommend putting more than like probably 3 links. And when you're choosing your links, you want to pick wisely. So in other words, pick probably one freebie, maybe one blog post or podcast or something if you have one of those, and maybe a book a call link or something like that. So you want to diversify your links so it's not just like all freebies or, all podcasts you've been on. You want to have it for different people at different stages. Like someone might be ready to book a call with you, someone might just want your freebie, etc. For me right now, because I'm promoting an event next week, I just have one. But normally I do have a link tree, and it's my Facebook group, my podcast, and a freebie. Now, as far as a bio goes, you do want to have, if you can, many of you I know do hormones and you specialize in certain things with hormones. So if possible, you want to make your username obviously like your name or, something that's easy for people to find. But where it has the name section here, this comes up anytime you like a post or like when people are like if someone's searching on Instagram and they type these things in, I would come up. So you want to use this name section here. And obviously for people listening to the replay, you got to see the video, but it's below, it's where it's the name section, not the username section in your bio. You want to put keywords that your ideal client might be looking for. So if you're a hormone health expert for infertility, you probably want to put infertility hormone health, something like that. And then in the bio part, you want to put the key results that you help people with. And then anything that's a credibility booster if possible. So like if you've helped hundreds of clients or you have been featured in Forbes or something, you could put that in there. Obviously for hormone health, that probably wouldn't be a thing, but whatever you have that could be a credibility booster, and then a call to action and your link to your whatever bio that you have. So that's what I would do for the Instagram bio. But then keep in mind, like I know people get nervous about they want to cram everything in, but the truth is you have this whole highlight section. So if you ever wanted to have something about like your certifications or background or something like that, you could have a highlight for that. If you wanted to have a testimonials highlights, you could have that. So think of your highlight section as kind of like if you were a website, the different pages on your website to educate people about what you're all about. And then you also have the ability to pin 3 posts on your Instagram. So pin ones that give the overview of, that you really want new people to your page to know. So maybe one would be your story. This one is my business story. One is just a value post, and then about like a most common struggle for my people. And then the other one's about my framework of service that I provide. So hopefully that helps. And then someone did put a landing page.
Shereen put her opt-in. I just clicked.
Nice.
Yeah, if you want to screen share again, or
Yeah, I'll share my screen. And we'll share here. Okay. So first, I love the photo view. That catches my eye right away and makes me feel welcome, and you're smiling and you're looking at the camera. So that's great. Now, what I would say is whenever we have a freebie or a reason for someone to join our list, we want to use our headline to be about the benefit of joining our list. So rather than me, you, your inbox every week, I would, if this is promoting I know it's promoting your newsletter and your protein pocket guide, but I would lead with the protein pocket guide. So I put the headline here as something like, you know, why do they need more protein? Is it like they want to build more muscle mass? Is it that they feel tired, like afternoon slumps? Like I would think about what's their key reason they need protein. And I would say something like, you know, build your muscle mass through menopause with my free protein pocket guide. And then below, you would say, get the 10 easy steps to eat more protein or something. And plus my weekly fitness, nutrition, and mindset newsletters with recipes or something like that. And then you'd have first name, and I would make first name required if possible. Just because you don't have to, but it is nice when you have their first name so you can address them by their first name in your emails. And then click here for the protein pocket guide is good still. But the only other thing too is if you want to juice this up a little bit more, you want to have a section with like a headline that's like, what you'll get inside of the free guide or benefits of the free protein pocket guide. Like you have to sell your freebie as if it was a paid offer almost, because people are not that giving with their email address anymore, and they need to have a reason. They think it's going to save them time, save them effort. So you'd want to have like benefits of the free protein pocket guide. And then you don't want to just list bullet points about like, you're going to get a recipe, you're going to get why protein is so important. You want to instead generate curiosity. So you want to have something like, learn the top 3 breakfasts that has helped my clients feel full all day and not have afternoon cravings or something like that. And then another one would be maybe in the guide you talk about how to decide how much protein you need or something. So you might say, get the formula for how much protein your unique body needs for losing body fat and stubborn menopause belly or something like that. So like you want to just try to connect it to the benefits. And then if you do have any testimonials about this guide, you could include those. If you don't worry about it. And then you may also, if you wanted to, you could talk about like your story very briefly about why you made this guide. So be like, excuse me, I went from, protein deficient and struggling with low energy, more body fat, et cetera, as a result to blah, 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 and then insert that you're a hormone health coach, et cetera. So about section potentially, testimonials if possible, listing the benefits of the guide. And then you may have another email opt-in form at the bottom if you're adding more sections, you do want to make sure it's there at least twice.
Good stuff. I'm going to just pull these up here as well, because these are very simple. We do a lot more testimonials on our official sales pages, not in our opt-ins. So that's interesting to think about that. This is the free hormone imbalance quiz you guys have seen before. We kind of just call attention to the problem, right? Are your hormones causing weight loss resistance? That's what most women are interested in. Like, why am I doing all the things and not getting results? And then the Functional Wellness Virtual Summit is very simple, right? Like we tell them basically, like, unfortunately, traditional medicine is failing you. Functional wellness is a better approach. They enter their information. We have a button here, but then we keep going. So we kind of kept it more long form. We explain who the experts are that are part of the virtual summit.
I want to watch this virtual summit. Someone put your affiliate link in the chat or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
It's funny that Elise is in there because she lives in my town.
Oh yeah, she's
so sweet. We're in the same networking group. I've been on their company's podcast. Yeah,
it's awesome. We're friends. Yeah, I've interviewed her on the podcast twice, and then she participated in this virtual summit. And what I like about the virtual summit was I tried to strategically pair up some of the interviews. So Elise had been on my podcast. She was the founder of the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy originally. And so I partnered her with, where is he? Dr. Calvin Ng, who is a naturopathic doctor out of California. And I wanted them to talk about just the differences between functional wellness and traditional modern medicine. So putting it together in an interview was awesome.
That sounds fascinating.
And I also put Michelle Jorgensen. So I had interviewed all these people separately on the podcast. And then I was like, what would happen if I put them together?
That's cool. I love that idea.
In an interview, she's like the guru of oral health, like root cause functional dentistry. And so she talks all about, your mouth, like airway, if you have enough breathing space in the back of your mouth. She talks about
Wow.
cavitations, root canals. And then you've got Dr. Brown, who is all about the gut microbiome. And so I have asked each of them questions about like, well, how does the mouth, obviously food goes into our mouth, everything comes into our mouth. Like, how does that affect the gut microbiome and vice versa? And so having them in an interview together was awesome because they were like totally nerding out with each other over
That's
that.
cool.
So we have a sex doctor on there. She's one of our most trafficked podcasts is the sex podcast. Anytime we talk about sex, it's always popular. But yeah, this is an awesome virtual wellness summit. And this was something that our brand strategy company had told us to do because it was their number one lead magnet. They were like, give away
Yeah.
8 to 10 hours of just functional wellness.
Mhm.
What I love about this one is that one of the biggest hiccups with women in purchasing the Sync course or moving forward with the Sync product is they think, oh, well, if I just need to ask my doctor more questions about hormones, I'll just do that because I'm already with this doctor, or I'll ask my OBGYN, or I don't want to pay out of pocket for a functional medicine doctor. Like they don't realize that it's different than finding a functional doctor. So this gives them a free resource where they come away, if they really watch some of it, they come away understanding that it's a totally different approach to their health that is worth investing in. And so it gets them to say, like, I think I do need this course, right? Because this course is a different mindset and different approach. I've got my
Nice.
story in here. I've got just bullet points on what they're going to learn from the different interviews. And then, of course, we keep having the call to action button too. So I just wanted to show you guys those. I know some of you guys listening moved forward a while ago with ClickFunnels. That's what we use for a lot of our funnels and landing pages. You guys are happy to duplicate these as well, but you have affiliate links for them as Sync coaches.
Yeah. And one tip too is if possible, try to get the email opt-in box above the fold, meaning like before I have to scroll down on mobile or website, can that be at the top? And it's you really got to check your landing pages on a mobile phone because most people will be signing up from their phone.
Right. Yeah, we just on my mega whiteboard is to revisit those because they just moved over to ClickFunnels 2.0 and it changed.
Oh yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to do, and you know you don't
You're
have
like,
to.
dang it, I had it all right. Now I got to fix it.
I know.
So, yeah, but perfect. Okay, well, I want to be mindful of your time, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to meet with us. You guys have to go follow Hailey on Instagram and
Yeah, it was great.
attend this live event. I'm excited to share that out. So we're going to try to get this out on the podcast, if not this week, next week. So Hailey, I will send you an email probably with like a little video clip to use if you're willing to shout that out.
Yeah.
And a graphic and whatnot. And I'll give you a heads up when it's going live.
Cool.
You want to do a picture real quick? You said you want to
I
do
do, but for some reason my computer is not letting me do a gallery, so it's just you. So I might just have to take
Here,
your
I can take it. I can take it and then just tag you if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always like to give people a heads up. Otherwise, I'm always the girl that if no one warns me, I'm like awkward.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Got it. Perfect.
Cool.
I'll tag it today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, yes, let's stay connected. I think am I coming on your podcast or something? I feel like I'm scheduled with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was curious, do you want to do that now or do you want to set up a different time? Because I can't remember if we were going to do it back to back or
Gotcha.
I'm not.
Yeah, let me set up a different time only because
Okay. I know.
want to go check
Yeah.
on one today.
That's fine.
We got home from the hospital last night. I still have like my bag to unpack and
Oh no. Okay. Well, then what I'm going to do
So,
is
I wanted to do this because I had told my people about it and
Yeah.
I canceled, but
Yeah.
if I can, I will schedule something maybe here next week or so we can.
Yeah. Actually, if you could not schedule Monday through Wednesday next week, just because I'm doing a live event, but I put my calendar link in there. Just put podcast in the chat. You don't need to fill out the questions.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll do that. So I will look at Thursday or Friday of next week.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Super. Well, thanks again for doing this and I'll let you know when we're going to go live.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.